Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. What the slump yesterday is. The slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. This is Bettor Off Dead Sunday, September 28th. I do have 4 NFL plays on tap for today. If you guys want the full analysis on that, go check out the NFL video. Whoa, I'm having a seizure here. I don't know what ESPN is doing over here. I do not have the NFL Dublin game on that is happening right now. I know the Steelers are winning right now. I did mention that I leaned to the Steelers in that game. I thought it was a fairly difficult handicap, though. So, again, thanks for hanging out for my NFL video last night. Go check that out if you are interested. If you want to see the analysis on the plays, I will post them on Instagram shortly as well once I'm done with this video. But we got to talk about WNBA playoffs today, the semifinals, and we got Major League Baseball, the last day of the regular season. So we will talk about it. I'm only going to have 1 play in each of those sports, so we will talk about that in a second. Yesterday was a 4-2 day. I talked about it last night, but I'll just rehash it real quick. We started off 4-0. I mean, it was going real nice. My college football's been really good for basically since week 1 at this point. We've been good post week 1, I should say. Kansas State, easy win for us yesterday. Not really a whole lot to talk about there. They got the job done. Iowa was a wire-to-wire cover on the plus 8.5. And people complaining about that, saying the game was rigged. I talked about it last night. I got it slightly wrong because I thought there was more time left on that supposedly rigging play at the end of the game. But first of all, Iowa was obviously the right side the whole way. Like, if you laid the points with Indiana, you were on the wrong side. Like, just deal with it. Iowa was winning the game 13-10 deep into the game in the 4th quarter. So, like, you're laying the points with Indiana. Your handicap is Indiana scores a shit ton of points, man. Like, that's what they're going to do again. They're going to outscore Iowa because their offense is better. Yeah, no, my handicap was right. I said Iowa is the best defense they're going to be facing so far. Iowa's going to slow the game down. Iowa is going to, just play defense, run the football, stay in the game. That is exactly what happened. I was correct. People that laid the earlier numbers, like I think there was Indiana -7 out there. I think was the opener. Like, that was where it opened for the week, I think. So people who laid that were trying to get out of it with a push. But it's like, if you even got out of that game with a push, you got really lucky, man. And really, so Indiana did finally score a touchdown after they retied the game at 13 really late in the game. They scored a very late touchdown to take the 7-point lead, which was the only time they were leading by that much in the entire game. Iowa had another shot at it, and they were, I believe, on the Indiana side of midfield, but Iowa, I think they had a backup quarterback in. I talked about this last night. I don't know what they were doing. If Gronowski was hurt, not Gronkowski, their quarterback, Gronowski, he might have been hurt because he wasn't in there, and whoever was in there throwing just threw like 3 straight incomplete passes, and that was it. So they turned the ball over on downs. Indiana takes over, I believe, with 20 seconds left, but Iowa did have all 3 of their timeouts left, so Indiana was trying to finish the game off, get Iowa to use the rest of their timeouts, try to get a first down if you can. But I think Indiana ran the ball 3 straight times just to force Iowa to use all their timeouts. So what really happened is it got into a situation where it was 4th down. I don't know how many yards Indiana still had to go. 4th down. I think it was at least 4th and 5, I want to say. So not really like a high percentage that you're going to pick that up if you go for it. But there were 3 seconds left at that point. I thought there were 20, but it was 20 at the start of the drive. Iowa used all 3 of their timeouts. Enough time came off the clock that it came down to 3 seconds. Indiana had to do something because it was 4th down. They didn't want to punt the ball because there is still the risk that there's going to be a punt return touchdown. There's still some risk there. If you run a play and you get stopped, Iowa might get the ball back on your side of the field and have one shot at like a Hail Mary. So you don't even want to give them that shot either. So people are saying this was rigged. I actually don't think so. This is like a Bill Belichick move where the safest option is to just go into the shotgun so your quarterback is far away from everybody, snap it to him and have him immediately just grab it and run backwards all the way through out of the end zone, never get hit, and take the safety, and it's going to take the rest of the time off the clock, and you win the game. Or, I mean, he doesn't even have to run out of bounds, really. Like, he could maybe like try to go for the sideline, but that's a little bit more dangerous that he's going to get caught because he's not as fast, Mendoza. And he actually did screw it up. He got tackled in the end zone, so there was still a chance he was going to fumble and that Indiana was going to recover it. But I think that was the idea. Like, just run straight for it, run out of the back of the end zone, never get hit, and nobody can do anything about it. And that's the safest option to win that game. So people are complaining that it was rigged. I really don't think so. And I think it's cope because just deal with it. You were on the wrong side, man. Iowa was the correct side. Plus the points there. We got another one right after that with Oklahoma State against Baylor. It got a little bit close near the end. Oklahoma State, I believe, was covering the whole game wire to wire, but Baylor did extend the lead to 18 late in the game. It was 11 pretty late in the game. They did get a touchdown, and then Baylor did get down into Oklahoma State territory again, but they had a really, really long possession and wound up being able to just run all the rest of the clock out and never scored again. So thankfully, we got that one right as well. And then we had, and even for the people that didn't get the 21, they still got it. And then Florida Atlantic was the only loss in college football, and it was very frustrating because you look at the final, it makes it look like I wasn't even close, that couldn't be further from the truth. Florida Atlantic was covering that for almost the entire game. They were within 6 with like 9 minutes left in the game. They were only down 6. They wound up giving up 2 scores after that point, and then they were down 16, so they were still only 1 point away from covering. That was the only point in the game at that point where they hadn't been covering. So it's like, all right, get possession back. They do have a decent quarterback, Veltkamp. You can get downfield. You can get a touchdown, or just score anything at this point. Although they did go for a touchdown at that point because they're down two touchdowns. So they're going to go for a touchdown, but it's possible. You can get a touchdown here. But no, they wind up turning it over on downs. Memphis, they turned it over on downs in their own territory. Memphis got another touchdown right off of that because Memphis, I don't know if FAU let them score the touchdown just to try to get the ball back again or what happened. Memphis scored another touchdown. Then on the ensuing kickoff, I'm pretty sure FAU fumbled the kickoff return. Memphis recovered it and then scored another touchdown immediately right after that. So it made the score look way, way different than it actually was. Very misleading final result in that one. And then baseball, we started out with a win on the first 5 under in Pirates Braves. That was an easy one. It was 1-1 at the end of 5. The full game went under 2, I think, with a Pirate 3-1 win. And then we did not get the A's right against the Royals in the late game. Royals scored an unearned run early, and then it was just, you needed the A's to just score 1 run at that point to at least push your bet. Didn't happen in the first 5. They wound up losing the game 4-2, I think, but they were down 3-0 at the end of 5. They gave up a couple more runs in the top of the 5th, so that was it. It sucks. What can you do? NFL today. Go watch my NFL video for the analysis on this. We got some ugly plays today, man. We got the Giants plus 6.5. I had said that keep an eye out. You don't have to, you didn't have to take it right away. You could potentially find a 7 maybe out there. I think it's still unlikely, but maybe. New England Patriots minus 5.5 or minus 5 if it's out there. Atlanta minus 1.5, which I wish I got the plus 2.5 earlier, but the line moved basically because it was just announced for sure that Jaden Daniels wasn't going to play. So that the line was somewhere like in the middle. That's where the odds makers came out with the line. Just Not sure which quarterback was going to play, so I think that's really why the line did move, but it's still basically a pick the winner situation. So I like Atlanta, and then I do have my Indianapolis Colts plus 3.5, which hopefully I'm not factoring bias into this, man, because I like the Giants with Jackson Dart. I like him. I like that. It's his debut. I like the Colts, but I have non-biased analysis and reasons for why I'm actually making those plays, so go check it out on the show from last night. Today we're going to talk about WNBA. Try to get this done quickly. We do have both semifinals in action here. Vegas is winning 2-1 against Indiana. This is the afternoon game. It's at Indiana. If they win this game, it's going to go back to Vegas for Game 5, the decisive Game 5. Indiana's facing elimination, though, and they are getting points at home, so I would lean to that side in this game. Vegas, 62% of the tickets on them, 96% of the cash coming in on Indiana, so the money is agreeing with me. Vegas down from 4.5 to 4 on the line here. The line is basically the same as it was in the previous game. It was like 3.5, I think, so a little bit of extra value, maybe by about a half point on Indiana. It is a zigzag spot, though, so the Vegas blew out Indiana. Well, didn't blow them out, but they beat them by double digits in the last game. And if you look at what happened in this game, a little bit of an outlier here. Vegas shot pretty ridiculously. They shot over 50% from the field, while Indiana was a ridiculously low 35.6% from the field. So there is room for some regression back to some sort of mean here. And Vegas, 40% from three. I don't think that's going to happen again. Indiana somehow won the rebounding battle, which is kind of crazy, and lost the turnover battle at home. So Indiana does have some room to fix what went wrong there, which is why the zigzag works, because the team that played poorly has all the adjustments to make, and the other team that played well doesn't have any adjustments to make. So I think Indiana will make adjustments. I don't think Vegas could shoot 40% from three this time. I don't think Indiana's going to shoot that poorly again, but I do have some reservations about it. Vegas, they have a lot of experience, man. They've been here before. They've been in the playoffs almost every year, the last 4 years or whatever. And I think they've been to the semifinals all but last year out of those years. So they do have experience. They have the MVP, of course, Wilson. They're one of the best teams in the league for sure. And Indiana, of course, we know they're without Clark and Cunningham still, and they've been playing pretty competitively despite that. But at some point, I think that thin roster is going to catch up to them, and they're just not really as experienced. So at some point, that's going to defeat them. But I do agree with Indiana on the side in this one. However, I think the better way to look in the WNBA is the night game, and we're going to take the points with Minnesota plus 5.5, which I know it looks like a ridiculous line. So obviously there's got to be an injury here, right? Yes, there is. So Collier, Minnesota's best player, and I think she was runner-up for the MVP this year. She got hurt late last game, and she is not going to play in this game. So I always talk about this. Now it's the injured player theory spot. So I think it's a zigzag and it's an injured player theory spot for Minnesota here. So a lot of things that I look for coinciding in this game, man. The injured player spot is when your star player goes down, that first game that she's out, the team really, really steps up their effort to try to compensate for her not being there. They tend to play with a lot of effort, and Minnesota's going to play with as much effort as possible anyway because they're on the verge of elimination after losing Game 3 in the series. They lost Game 1 at home inexplicably after blowing a 20-point lead. I was on Minnesota. Oh, no, that was Vegas, right? What am I saying? No, that was Vegas, I think, right? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore, man. No, they won Game 1, excuse me. They won Game 1, and then they blew the 20-point lead in Game 2. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, and then I was on Minnesota in Game 3, and it did not work out. They wound up losing the game. Yeah, Minnesota's facing elimination because of that now. So you get the team that's really the better team. I think even without Collier, you might be able to argue they're the better team. So this line on Phoenix is kind of ridiculous, man. Like, they probably get 2 to 3 points for home court just because it's the playoffs. But I think if they do that, Minnesota's still the better team, in my opinion, even without Collier. So I don't think this line should be anywhere close to this, man. Like, I mean, it just seems a little bit insane to me. Like, I think it should probably be like maybe somewhere around Phoenix -2, I think would be more of a legit line here. 5.5 is insane. I know Collier's good, but this Minnesota team has been the best team in the league all year. They've played some games without her. I mean, it's just ridiculous for this line to move to this extent. And you're getting Minnesota, the best team in the league, in the injured player spot, so ton of effort because of that. up against elimination, tons of effort because of that too, getting a bunch of points. I mean, I think you have to do this. This line has moved way too much. It's a complete overreaction to last game's result and to Collier being out. Minnesota was -4 in the last game, and now this line, you're telling me that Collier, her being injured alone is worth moving this line 9.5 points? Are you kidding me? There's no way. Absolutely not. The value is obviously on Minnesota here. There's no question about it. And again, they're in a zigzag spot too because they lost yesterday. They lost a couple days ago on the road in the previous game. It was a close game. Yes, I know Collier did play most of that game. And yes, I guess when she went out of the game late in the game, Minnesota basically didn't even score again. But if you look at the stats here, Minnesota had a really bad game. 25% from three. Even though they won the turnover battle, which is kind of ridiculous, they did lose the rebounding battle, and they lost the field goal battle as well. They only shot 42.3% from the field, but that three-point percentage is a big-time outlier, 25%. So I think Minnesota has room to make adjustments here, fix what went wrong in the previous game. You know they're going to step up their effort big time here. I mean, the number one overall seed that's been the best team in the league all year, they're not going to go down like this, like without a fight. You know what I mean? Like people were expecting them to win the whole thing. They still have a chance to do that. They're up against it here. Like, yeah, and you're going to give them all these points? Okay, yeah, we'll take Minnesota to cover as a big underdog here, man. I think there's a ton of value there. Minnesota will make the adjustments here. This line, Phoenix was going to be 2.5, and it's all the way up to 5.5 now, but the money is coming in on Minnesota. 57% of tickets, 83% of the cash coming in on Minnesota. And again, that's what we're doing. The money agrees with it as well. So, yeah, yet again, another indicator that Minnesota should be the right side here. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're ever going to see Minnesota. I don't know if they've been this big of an underdog all year, to be honest. And it's when they're facing elimination. So, okay, backs against the wall. We'll take Minnesota in that one. And, yeah, again, I think they will adjust their play to you know, based on what went wrong in the previous game. Whereas for Phoenix, you don't really have anything to fix after that. Let's go to baseball. Baseball, we still have some interesting scenarios here. So Toronto and the Yankees are still trying to figure out who's going to win the AL East. Toronto has the tiebreaker, so the only way the Yankees can overtake them is if they win and the Blue Jays lose, although that's more likely than you think. And I'm not going to be happy if it happens, but it is somewhat likely. Cleveland and Detroit are both in the playoffs now because Houston lost again yesterday. I believe Cleveland won. Cleveland has the tiebreaker against Detroit. So if Detroit beats the Red Sox today and Cleveland loses, then Detroit can get back into the back atop the AL Central. So they could still do that, which I think is probably a little bit less likely, but it's definitely possible. I mean, Cleveland did clinch. I believe they clinched yesterday, so they might be in a bit of a hangover spot here just because they made the playoffs, which is crazy. And Detroit might come out with some motivation here as the Red Sox don't really have a whole lot left to play for at this point. They know they're in a wild card spot. We'll talk about it when we get to all those games. So it is, I think it's more possible. Actually, it's possible for both these things to happen, man. For the Yankees to jump Toronto and for Detroit to jump back ahead of Cleveland, both could happen here. Houston got eliminated yesterday, so they're in a dream crusher spot here today, so something to keep in mind. And then in the National League, the battles that are still to be fought here, basically just for the last wild card at this point is the last thing remaining, and it is the Mets and the Reds, who both, I believe, won again yesterday, so they're both still tied. Yes, they both won yesterday, so they're still tied. Milwaukee's one game ahead of Philly, and I don't know if Philly has a tiebreaker against them or not, so I don't know if there's a possibility that Philly can overtake Milwaukee for the overall 1 seed. I'm not sure if they can or not. So something to keep in mind there. But the big battle is who's going to get the last wild card. Cincinnati actually has the tiebreaker against the Mets, so they have the upper hand in that battle right now because they're tied. Terry Francona with the Reds, my man from the Red Sox days. I wouldn't mind seeing him back in the playoffs, to be honest. Not a Mets fan, so if they miss the playoffs, I will not cry about it. Although I think the Mets are a lot better than their record looks, so it would be extremely disappointing if they didn't make the playoffs. Mostly, as far as the National League, for the I think for all the rest of the teams, they're basically locked into where they are in the playoffs now. Let's take a look at these games. It's all afternoon play, man. Every game is starting between 3:05 and 3:20 p.m. Eastern. This is a tricky day, man, the last day of baseball, because motivation definitely matters, but I still think the pitching matchups matter too. Baltimore is at the Yankees, of course. Like I said, the Yankees have something to play for. They've won a bunch of games in a row, unfortunately. 7 games in a row, playing some bad teams. The White Sox and Baltimore to finish it off. Baltimore probably will show up motivated, though, because it's their last game of the season. They get to face the Yankees. There is reason for Baltimore to show up here as well. Baltimore has the worst of the two bullpens. They used a little bit more of it yesterday. Yankees have the better offense, obviously. Both bullpens are pretty bad, but I don't know why this is not loading faster. But the Yankees have the better of the two bullpens and the less used bullpen. Kyle Bradish is pitching for Baltimore, though, and he just rejoined the rotation not that long ago, and he has been pretty good since he has 2.25 ERA, 1 whip. He's a little bit worse on the road, though, with a 3 ERA on the road. This month, 2.05 ERA, 29-10 strikeout walk ratio. It's a few too many walks, but he's still pitching really effectively. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in all 5 of his outings. The Yankees did just see him, but he did hold them to 1 earned run in 6 innings in that game. So he is in good form right now. And up against the Yankees in general, he has done well, not just in that game, but in the past. So I don't know that the Yankees, having seen him recently, is going to help them that much, because they have not done well against him in a 54 at-bat sample size, 22-7 strikeout walk ratio, 130 average, allowed 415 OPS. So Bradish has done pretty well against the Yankees. Yankees are going to go with Luis Gil, who does have a good ERA, 3.29. He hasn't pitched that much this year because he was hurt for most of it. His whip is not good, though, 1.44, so he walks too many guys, man. He is better at home, 2.3 ERA at home. Again, his problem is the walks. Like, he throws too many pitches a lot of times. He's not very efficient. I know the Yankees have won all 4 of his starts this month, 2.78 ERA. That makes it look like he's really on point right now, but he has a 10-12 strikeout walk ratio this month, so he usually comes out and strikes out a lot of guys at least, but this month his strikeout rate has been way down too. He has 4 or fewer in every one of his outings, and he has more walks than strikeouts. That is not a recipe for success, man, so he is in line for some sort of regression here. I don't know if it'll come against Baltimore, though, because he has dominated Baltimore in the past. 43 at-bats, 14-0 strikeout walk ratio against them. That's pretty ridiculous. 209 batting average allowed, 465 OPS. And Baltimore has not seen him this year, so they have not seen him for a while, so they're not going to be as recently familiar with him. So I would look at the total in this game probably if I was going to play it, and I do think it is a first 5 under. That would be the way I would lean. I think both starters might hold down the opposing bats in this one. Don't want anything to do with the bullpens. The total's at 8.5 for the full game. Juice to the over. 56% of tickets, 88% of the cash on the over, though. So the money coming in on the over, I don't agree with it. I would go under first 5. And for what it's worth, the money is fading the Yankees. They're down from -185 to -166. 86% of tickets on the Yankees. 53% of the cash coming back in on the Baltimore side, though. So the money is coming in on Baltimore. If it's just because Bradish is better than Gil, Gil. Bradish is better than Gil. I agree with that. So, yeah, I'm not going to, disagree with the market read on that. However, if I was going to take Baltimore, I'd probably do it in the first 5 innings because I just don't want to deal with their bullpen. So that's probably the way that I would look in that game. Probably a run line, actually, on Baltimore in the first 5 innings because the Yankees are such a heavy favorite. White Sox at Washington playing out the stretch here. Terrible, terrible matchup here. The teams have alternated 1-run wins, both pretty high scoring. I did mention I like the over yesterday, which did get there. Washington bounced back after losing in the first game. Both of these bullpens stink. Washington's is the even worse of the two. The White Sox have used a lot of their bullpen recently. Washington's used less of theirs, but I still think basically you want to fade both bullpens here if you're looking at this game, or just avoid banking on them. Chicago has the worst of the two offenses. The White Sox offense is bad. Neither offense is good, though. Shane Smith is pitching for the White Sox. I think he is the better of these two starters. He's had a pretty good rookie season overall. 3.98 ERA, 1.24 whip. He was not as good in the middle of the season around when he got named to the All-Star team as a rookie. I think that might have distracted him a little bit, but he's been good again more recently. He's not quite as good on the road, though. 4.39 road ERA. This month, he's been fairly decent. 25-8 strikeout walk ratio is definitely solid. But he does have a 4.95 ERA, although it's mostly because he didn't do that well against Baltimore. Not able to go 5 innings in that one. He allowed 6 earned runs, but he kind of got a little bit unlucky because he did still have a 7-1 strikeout walk ratio there. He's not pitching that deep into games, but he is pitching fairly effectively. I think he should do okay against Washington, and Washington has never seen him before, so he has a little bit of an extra advantage here because they have never seen him. So I talk about that when the young pitcher has never been seen before by the opposing hitters. The hitters could struggle to figure him out for a little while, so I think Smith has an extra edge as far as that's concerned. Washington has Brad Lord pitching, who is a converted relief pitcher who I can never get a good gauge on. Decent numbers overall in the season, though. 4.12 ERA, 1.28 whip. A little bit high, but not awful. He is not as good at home, though. 5.01 home ERA. This month, 3.13 ERA. Pretty good, though, in 4 outings. 19-6 strikeout walk ratio. So he is pitching pretty well right now. And he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all of those outings. So he is in pretty good form right now, facing a weak White Sox lineup. And the White Sox have never seen him before either. So he might actually do okay here. The unfamiliarity aspect of this with the White Sox having a bad lineup anyway, and they have to try to figure out Lord on the fly. So, Lord of the Flies. Yeah, dude, if Lord gives up a lot of fly balls, he's Lord of the Flies. Oh, my God. Does he? Does he have a high fly ball rate? I don't even know. I've never really looked into his fly ball versus ground ball rate. Let's see what it is on the season. Actually, no. I think one of the reasons why he succeeds is because he has a lot of ground balls, only slightly more fly balls than ground balls. So he's not Lord of the Flies. But, yeah, that being said, I think this is an under in the first 5 innings as well. Unlike what I said about the previous games in this series, the money is agreeing with this one. 58% of tickets on the under, 98% of the cash on the under. Total is flipped from 8.5 juice to the over to being juice to the under. That's the way I would lean in the game. First 5 only, though, because I don't want anything to do with those bullpens. And Washington is getting some of the money, even though they initially dropped from -117 to -112. They got 61% of the cash, 59% of tickets on the White Sox, though. So, again, just giving you all the information there. But my preference in that game would be the first 5 under. Detroit at my Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox have not decided on a starting pitcher here. The Red Sox don't have a whole lot to play for. Like, they could just shift around as far as the wild card scene is concerned. But I think the Red Sox actually have an advantage if they lose this game, because if the Red Sox lose this game, they avoid the Yankees in Toronto, I believe, for the most part. So well, actually, I think it depends on what Cleveland does. So I think if the Red Sox win this game, though, they're guaranteed to have to face either the Yankees or Toronto. They'll have to face whichever team wins the division. Red Sox are going to go on the road either way, but I think that's going to be a more difficult assignment to do that, even though I know the Red Sox have done well against the Yankees this year. But I think they'd rather face Cleveland than those teams. Cleveland is so obviously the worst team that's going to be in the playoff field, man, even though I know they're playing really well right now. They're hot at the right time, but, man, I think they'd probably rather play Cleveland. But that will happen if the Red Sox lose this game and Cleveland wins to win their division. Because if the Red Sox lose, that means Detroit has a chance to win the division. So Cleveland would have to win for that to happen. Otherwise, I believe if Cleveland also loses, then I don't know. I think some shift happens where the Red Sox actually still wind up having to face the winner of the AL East instead. So I think the Red Sox, there's no scenario where they play Detroit in the first round. I believe that's correct. I don't know. I'm trying to get it all straight in my head, but I think it is actually advantageous for the Red Sox to lose this game. But, I mean, this is a professional sport, man. Like, these guys are not going to go out there just to intentionally lose. But it might mean the Red Sox don't have a whole lot of focus on trying to win this game at the very least. Detroit still does, because they can still win the division, man. As far as the bullpens, the Red Sox have the better of the two bullpens, and they have the better offense. The Red Sox have a somewhat rested bullpen after yesterday. They used a lot of guys on Friday, but rested most of their guys yesterday. Detroit used more of their guys yesterday, so the Red Sox do have a bullpen edge and a hitting edge here, but it looks like the Red Sox might potentially be going with a bullpen game here because, I mean, this is the last game of the season, man, so it's kind of just like all hands on deck, although you don't really want to waste your arms before the playoffs. And I think you have a couple of days off before the playoffs start. So I think that's okay. Detroit is going with Chris Paddock. And I mean, is he really the guy that you want when your division is on the line? I don't know. I mean, Detroit, they at least know they're going to make the playoffs, but it would definitely be a huge disappointment if they wind up in a wild card spot. Paddock has not been very good, though, this season between playing with Minnesota and Detroit. 5.27 ERA, 1.25 whip. The whip is actually better than the ERA would suggest, though. Or his ERA is worse than the whip would suggest. So I think his ERA should actually be a little bit better than that, but he's still not very good. 5.66 ERA on the road. That's not good either. He's very home run prone on the road, too. This past month, he hasn't been good at all. This month, 7.82 ERA, 10-1 strikeout walk ratio, solid, but he's just getting lit up. He's given up 4 home runs. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's gotten a little bit unlucky, though, given that his command numbers are pretty good this month, but he tends to give up a lot of hard contact, man. And since he's been with Detroit, he's been bad. He had one good start with them against Arizona, and then he was just pretty much awful since then. Had a 6.38 ERA with them in August. Against the Boston Red Sox, he is actually good against them, though, in 30. So maybe that's why they're rolling him out there. In 37 at-bats, he has a 14-1 strikeout walk ratio against them, 216 average allowed, and 507 OPS. So Paddock might actually be able to do well in this game. It looks like the line on this one, we don't even have a line on this game at all yet, so it's very hard to determine what you really want to do with this game. As it stands right now, I actually think you should probably lean to Detroit, just because of the motivational aspect of it, and maybe first 5 innings if you don't want to deal with the bullpen. So if the Red Sox are going to go with a bullpen game or some scenario where their bullpen's going to be into the game early, I think a full game play on Detroit might make sense, and you might get them as an underdog. So maybe that makes sense there. Minnesota at Philadelphia. I still don't know if Philadelphia can potentially take over the 1 seed in the National League or not. So that's kind of the question. They did get shut out yesterday 5-0, though. So Philadelphia might just show up a little bit focused just because of that, potentially. It is Minnesota's last game of the season, though, and they do get to face Philadelphia. So I think there is some motivation for these teams that know they're not going to the playoffs. It's kind of like you could say the same thing in the last NFL week. You want to kind of look towards teams that are not going to make the playoffs because it's their last game, so they kind of have a reason to just show up and go all out, whereas the teams that are going to make the playoffs, especially if they have nothing to really play for and they're already settled into where they're going to be in the playoffs, that team definitely has a tendency to lack in motivation a little bit. So I don't know if that's going to be the case with Philadelphia here or not, but with baseball, I worry about it a little bit more because I have to take into account the pitching matchup, and then you have to kind of deal with, is that specific pitcher going to be motivated? And I still have to rely on like what the pitching matchup kind of tells me, so it's a little bit difficult in baseball, like just to go purely situational in baseball. I can't bring myself to do it. I'm too autistic. Philadelphia doesn't have a very good bullpen. They used 3 of their relief pitchers yesterday. Minnesota's is worse, though. And they only used 2 yesterday, but Minnesota's got the worst of the 2 bullpens. Philadelphia has a way better offense. Simeon Woods-Richardson is pitching for Minnesota. Not great numbers for him. 4.27 ERA, not terrible. 1.34 whip is not good, though. And he's bad on the road, 5.89 road ERA. This month he does have a 3 ERA, though, and a 27-9 strikeout walk ratio, so he's actually pitched pretty well this month. His strikeout rate actually went up. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all of his outings this month, so he is actually pitching a little bit better as of now. And he's been good against Philly in a very small sample size, so it might have been just because they didn't know what to expect out of him, but they only have 1 hit off him. They're 1 for 15 off him with Stott with the only hit, a single. 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, 0.67 average is what that is, 243 OPS. So Woods-Richardson actually has done well against Philly in the past. He's going up against Christopher Sanchez, though. And if Sanchez shows up, I mean, I think these starting pitchers, when they show up, they're not just going to like intentionally lose, although they might be unfocused a little bit depending on the situation. But it's a lot easier to gauge a team's like lack or, not really, to gauge a team's like lack of focus or like how much focus they will have, how much focus they will or will not have. It's easier to gauge that at the level of the team. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like you got to play as a team, so chemistry gets involved and whatever. It's a lot harder to gauge an individual pitcher using the same type of situational methods, you know what I mean? Because you don't know what's in the one guy's head. Like overall, you can kind of gauge what's in the team's head. Is that going to be what the pitcher thinks? I don't know. Sanchez had a really good season though. 2.57 ERA, 1.08 WHIP. Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to look at here. I mean, he's just been really, really good. He's still good this month. He's allowed one or fewer earned runs in 4 of his last 5 outings. The only one where he didn't was against the Dodgers, and he still wasn't even that bad in that outing. 2 ERA this month, 23-3 strikeout walk ratio. Minnesota only has 2 hitters I've ever seen him before. Vasquez has the only hit, a single. They're 1 for 5 off him with no strikeouts, no walks. So he is unfamiliar to them too. So this game, I'm probably going to say under in the first 5 innings yet again in this one. The money agrees with it. It looks like 55% of tickets on the under, 87% of the cash on the under. Total is sitting at 8.5 juice to the under with a little bit less juice on the under right now. But I think the under first 5, again, excluding the bullpens, is the way to go. Philadelphia is a very public, fairly big favorite. So not something I would really want to get involved in there as far as the side is concerned. And you really got to look into whether or not Philly can actually get the 1 seed or not, because I'm not sure. Colorado at the Giants. The Giants are on the verge of a sweep here. Maybe that'll motivate Colorado a little bit, because Colorado's had a really bad season, like a historically bad season. So Colorado especially might actually show up with motivation for the last game of the season. I don't know if San Francisco will, because San Francisco started out the season hot and thinking they were going to make the playoffs, and now they're not. But San Francisco does have the way better bullpen here. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, though, and Colorado only used 2, but they still have the better bullpen. They have a better offense, too. They're just that bad, man. Colorado's going with McCade Brown, young pitcher here, 7.54 ERA, 1.81 WHIP. I know his numbers are really bad. He is better on the road, though, 4.85 road ERA, so he's actually okay on the road, where he gets kind of bombed in Coors Field. It's all a very small sample size, though, but he has been significantly better on the road, at least. Colorado's lost all 6 of his starts so far, but he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in 4 of his last 5 outings, which you wouldn't really expect. And his last outing, he actually was really good at Seattle. Seattle's a good offense, although I know that's a pitcher-friendly park, but he went 5 innings, didn't allow allowed 1 earned run, had 10 strikeouts and 2 walks. That was the best start that he's made so far, man. So he might be trending in the right direction. So it is possible he pitches well in this game. It looks like he does have decent stuff, and the Giants have never seen him before. So he does have an unfamiliarity edge there, too, where the hitters have to try to figure him out. So Brown doesn't look like potentially not that bad of a look in this game, but San Francisco is going with Logan Webb to finish the season here. He's had another good season, 3.3 ERA, 1.25 WHIP. He's a little bit better at home as well, 3.25 ERA. How motivated is he going to be as far as, I don't know if the team is going to be necessarily motivated. He might be, because, again, he's just one guy. This month he's been slightly worse than what he's done on the season, 4.18 ERA, 29-9 strikeout walk ratio. Still pretty good, though, so he hasn't really gone totally out of form or anything like that. He's facing a bad Rocky lineup here. 88 at-bats against Webb for them, 20-3 strikeout walk ratio, 227 average allowed, 548 OPS. So Webb has done well against them in the past. So in this game, probably I'm going to lean towards an under in this game too. In this one, maybe I would actually say full game, because you have 2 pretty weak offenses. You're getting the key number of 7.5 here still, although it's being juiced to the under now. So if you want it, you probably have to get it before it hits 7. I'd rather get the 7.5, obviously, and get that hook there. 86% of tickets, 96% of the cash on the over. I know Colorado's bullpen is bad, although at least they are rested here, and San Francisco's offense is not great. If you want to go under in the first 5, I think that makes sense as well. It's just you're probably going to have to get about a 3.5 on that, and I don't really love that number necessarily. The over is public, though, as I said. It looks like there's money coming in on the over as well, but I don't agree with that. I agree with the move towards the 7.5 to the under. San Francisco's a huge favorite, minus 285, which, by the way, Philadelphia was like minus 220, I think, yeah. Wouldn't want to touch either one of these sides at all. They're both really public, too. Kansas City at the A's. We lost that one yesterday, unfortunately. They've split the 2 games of the series now. These teams just playing out the stretch here, of course. Kansas City has the better bullpen. The A's have the better offense. I mean, it's sort of pitching versus offense when you look at these two teams here. Both teams have similar bullpen usage after yesterday, too. So Kansas City has the better bullpen. Kansas City has the better starter on the hill, too, with Cole Reagans, who came back when it was too late, man, unfortunately for Kansas City, because he is basically their ace, and you wouldn't really realize it based on his numbers this year. He just hasn't pitched that much this year. He was injured most of the year. 5.02 ERA. 1.22 whip is not bad, though. A little bit worse on the road. 5.11 ERA. How well is he going to do in this A's stadium, though? I don't know. The temporary AAA stadium they're in, it's just awful. I don't know. But Reagans, since he came back, he made 2 starts. They kind of were ramping him up a little bit. He hasn't thrown a lot of pitches yet, but he did ramp himself up to 5 innings last time out. He's allowed 2 earned runs in each of those outings. He has a 14-3 strikeout walk ratio over those outings. He got a win for us last time out against Anaheim, so that was good. And a 4.15 ERA over that span. So he is coming back into form. It looks like he is starting to pitch pretty well again. So I kind of expect that he will again here. The A's have not done well against him in the past in 31 at-bats. They have an 0.97 average against him in 405 OPS, 13-6 strikeout walk ratio, so it is too many walks, although 3 of them are Langoliers, and he's also 0 for 10 off him. So I do think overall Reagan sets up to do okay in this game if he could deal with the stadium. Brady Basso is pitching for the A's here. 1.74 ERA on the season, but a 1.55 whip is pretty ugly. He puts too many guys on base. I don't know if it makes sense to really go into his matchup numbers or whatever, because he's a relief pitcher. It looks like he's probably going to go about 1 inning in this game. He'll be an opener, basically, and then you're going to get an A's bullpen game, or maybe they'll bring in like a follower for a few innings. So basically a bullpen game for the A's. Doesn't seem like a good idea to me with how bad the A's bullpen is. So Kansas City, I think, is the way to look in this game. A's are public because the public likes offense. 75% of tickets, 76% of the cash. This is crazy. A public home underdog, man. When do you ever see that? Not often. Although it looks like some of the cash is coming in on them too. Kansas City down from -141 to -138 here. But I would lean to Kansas City in this one. Even though the money looks like maybe it's somewhat disagreeing with it. I'm kind of thinking, because I didn't see the percentages yet on this game before. I don't know. Do we want to take a shot with Kansas City in this one? I'm thinking about it. I mean, the A's really haven't been very good at home in this stadium, man. It's tempting. It is definitely tempting. Let me take one more look at this. Am I going to add one more play on the fly here? Going to have a lot of plays today if I do that, because NFL is in action. Let me see. Action Network is showing money coming in on the A's, which just, I don't know, doesn't totally make sense to me. I'll skip it, but I do like Kansas City in that one. Tampa at Toronto is going to be the one play that I have, so I'll skip that for now. It's an interesting one. Houston at Anaheim. Now, Houston's in the Dream Crusher spot, man, so that is something to definitely consider here. Houston, they haven't been out of the playoffs since 2016, so this is going to be probably a very deflated spot for Houston. I don't really expect them to show up here. After they were, leading the division basically all season. They've been in the playoffs every year for the last, decade almost. And now all of a sudden, with 1 day to go, they get knocked out of the playoffs. I think it's a bad spot for them, man. I really do. Situationally, the problem is they're facing Anaheim. So what do we want to do with this one? Houston used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Anaheim only used 1. So Anaheim's bullpen is in better shape right now, though their bullpen is the worst of the two. There's no question about that. Houston still does have the better offense, but again, it might be a situation where they just don't show up. Lance McCullers is pitching for Houston. He just had a bad season. He tried to come back from injury. I think he had Tommy John surgery. His home fans are just getting all over his ass for not pitching well, threatening his life. I mean, it's just not cool, man. So I was rooting for him to do better, and it just didn't really happen. He's been a staple of the rotation for such a long time, man, but his numbers are just not good this year. 6.71 ERA, 1.85 whip. However, his bad starts basically all came at home. He's been much better on the road, and that's where he is here. 2.54 ERA, so he might actually want to show up and do something here. He hasn't pitched since September 11th, hasn't made really anything close to a full start since like August, basically late August. So he might actually show up with some motivation here, man. He hasn't given up an earned run this month in 2 outings against Texas and Toronto, both on the road, by the way. Although the fielding failed him and allowed 3 earned runs over that span. He didn't strike anybody out. So I don't know. It's like he's not exactly in good form right now. Against Anaheim, you know what? We might fade Houston here. Against Anaheim, his numbers are not that good. An 80 at bats, 26 to 15 strikeout walk ratio. That's a lot of walks. 250 average is low, but 850 OPS is pretty high. It is mostly because Trout really does a lot of damage against him, but with a few home runs in there, but still, I don't know, man. The problem is I just don't think you could take Anaheim here either because they got Sam Aldigeri on the mound here who's young. Like, he might get better at some point, man, but his numbers have been awful this year so far. He pitched last year a little bit too, and he was not good. This year, 8 ERA, 2.22 whip. I mean, that is just really bad. He's been really bad at home, 10.8 ERA at home. I know he's only made 3 appearances so far, but he hasn't been able to do well really against anybody, including Texas and Kansas City at home. Really struggling in both those outings. He has a 7-7 strikeout walk ratio, so I don't think you could play on Aldigeri, man. Houston actually saw him last year, I guess, and they're 3 for 5 off him with 4 walks and no strikeouts, so that's not good either. So even though Houston, they're in a very, very deflated spot here. Situation, I think it does make sense to fade them. I just don't think you can put your money on Aldigeri, man. 65%, and Anaheim's bullpen sucks too, although at least it's rested. 65% of tickets, only 55% of the cash on Houston, though. They've dropped from minus 124 to minus 119, so the money is agreeing with the fade of Houston here. I would very hesitantly agree with it, and if I was going to play this game, I would go with Anaheim full game on the money line, but man, it's just yeah, I mean, if you're doing that, you're doing it because of the it's all because of the situation. It's all because you expect Houston to be deflated. Mets at Miami. The Mets need to win, man, because if the Mets lose, that's done. That's it. They're out of it. It doesn't even matter what Cincinnati does, which I think that's part of the reason why all the games are being played at the same time. So you don't have, like, your opponent doesn't do something first, like the opponent, the team that you're, fighting with for the last spot or whatever. You're playing at the same time, so you don't see, oh, that team just won or whatever, so now we're fucked and we're not going to show up anymore. So that's not going to happen. So the Mets will show up. They need to win this game, but that means there might be too much pressure on the Mets in this game. Miami's got no pressure here. They did lose 5-0 yesterday. The teams have split the 2 games of the series. Miami might show up because it is their final game of the season, and they do get to host the Mets, and they get to spoil the Mets season. Like, if the Mets lose, they're out of it, regardless of what Cincinnati does. So Miami has a chance to do that to the Mets. However, just like what we say in football, the team that controls their own destiny actually tends to have more pressure on them, which is going to be Cincinnati here, because it's like, basically you're in a situation where it's win and you're in. The Mets are not in that situation. Like, yes, the Mets need to win, but they also need help. The Mets need to win, and Cincinnati needs to lose. So the Mets have a little bit of pressure off of them because a lot of it is just out of their control. So they can kind of just show up and play a little bit looser. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we need to win, but even if we win, we're not guaranteed to be in, right? So it kind of takes the pressure off you, like, mentally a little bit. Mets are the better team, obviously. They have the better offense. They do have the better bullpen as well. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Miami used 4. Miami's is a little bit more used right now, too. So the Mets do have a little bit of a bullpen edge here. Sean Manaea is pitching for the Mets. He hasn't been that good, though. He had a shortened season, came back from injury, 5.8 ERA, not good, though. A 1.22 whip kind of indicates his ERA should be better than that, though. So he might be pitching a little bit better than his ERA would suggest, but he has not been good on the road. 7.09 road ERA. He's been struggling, man, on the road. This month, 7.64 ERA, despite having a 19-2 strikeout walk ratio. So a lot of times with Manaea, I always point this out, throughout his career, his problem has been walks, and that is not the case here. Like, I don't know what's going on with him, man, but his command numbers have been quite good. He's just getting hit hard. He's given up more hits than innings pitched here. He's given up 7 home runs this month. He's just getting lit up by the bats. So I don't know. There's something wrong with Manaea right now. He's too hittable. His stuff is just not fooling guys at this point, I guess, even though, well, to some extent it is because he's striking guys out, but he's probably just putting too many pitches over the plate. Miami surprisingly only has 14 at-bats against him ever. 3 hitters have faced him before. They've done well, though. They have a 429 average against him and 1,038 OPS. 2-to-1 strikeout walk ratio. So Manaea, a little bit questionable coming into this one, man. Bad home road splits. His numbers against Miami not good in the limited sample size, although a lot of Miami's bats are unfamiliar with him, so maybe he does have an advantage against those guys. He is going up against Edward Cabrera, who's had a better season out of the 2 pitchers. From Miami here, 3.66 ERA, 1.22 whip. He's been solid. He's been good at home, too, so he has the edge of the home road splits over Sean Manaea quite significantly, a 2.91 ERA at home. He has not been good recently, though. He's allowed 3 or more earned runs in 4 of his last 5 outings, and he failed to make it even through the 5th inning in 3 of his last 4 outings, including one against the Mets on August 30th. At the Mets, he got obliterated. Gave up 5 earned runs in 4 innings in that one. Did have 4 strikeouts and 1 walk, so his command was all right, but gave up a lot of hits, gave up 3 home runs, so he's not really in good form right now either. He followed that up, not doing well at Philadelphia either. 3 earned runs in 4 innings in that one. Still good command numbers, though. Good strikeout walk ratio. But overall against the Mets, he does not do that well. In 94 at-bats, he has a really bad 19 to 20 strikeout walk ratio. That is an unbelievable amount of walks. Cabrera, throughout his career, the walks have kind of been the issue with him, although he's gotten that under control this year. So you have to kind of take these numbers with a little bit of a grain of salt to some extent, because a lot of it is in the past when he was more walk-prone than he is now. But we did just see that he did bad against the Mets 2 starts ago or whatever, so that's still not a good sign. They have a 255 average off him, which isn't that high, but an 886 OPS. They got 7 home runs off him, 3 from Alonso, so the Mets do hit him well. So this game, man, yeah, what do we want to do with this game? I don't know, man. Let's see what is the price on this. The money is coming in on the Mets. People know they need to win. They're a favorite on the road here. I think the Mets are better than their record would indicate, though, man. So, again, I said if they actually manage to make the playoffs, I think they're going to be dangerous. They're up for minus 115 to minus 128 here. 63% of tickets, 74% of the cash on them. So the money is coming in on the Mets. Money also kind of on the over, and I think that's probably the way I would actually lean in this game. I don't really trust the bullpens. I don't think I really trust either starter, so I think an over actually does make sense in this game. 87% of tickets, or 88% now on the over, but 98% of the cash. I don't know if that's accurate, but the number's just kind of sitting there, so at 8. So it's a reasonable total there for that one. I think that's the way I would look. Texas at Cleveland. Cleveland might take a little bit of a step back here because they know they're in the playoffs now, though they're still fighting for the division. But I think because Cleveland didn't even expect to make the playoffs at all, they just came from out of nowhere. The fact that they got into the playoffs, they probably celebrated yesterday. So I think that Cleveland might have a little bit of a setback here, man, in my opinion, even though, yeah, they're trying to fight for the division. If Cleveland wins, they'll win the division. So that's also the case. They have the tiebreaker here. So they would need to lose, and Detroit would need to win for them to lose the division. So Cleveland, I mean, they don't really have a whole lot of pressure on them here, again, because they weren't even expected to be here at all. So that's actually a good thing. They don't have pressure on them. But I think because they did clinch yesterday, they might have over-celebrated a little bit. So a couple of kind of conflicting situational factors here. Texas just playing out the stretch. I mean, Texas doesn't really have the possibility of spoiling Cleveland's season anymore, but it is Texas's last game of the season, so they might want to show up and play well just because it is the last game of the season. Both bullpens are good. Cleveland's is slightly better. Cleveland is slightly less used right now. Both used the same amount of pitchers yesterday, but over the last few days, Texas used a little bit more of their bullpen, I think, so Cleveland's is a little bit more rested. Slight bullpen edge there. Both offenses suck. Texas's offense actually is the slightly better one, and they're at least less bad on the road. So Texas does have a slight offensive edge. Looking at the starting pitching, it does look like Cleveland has a better starting pitcher. I mean, Patrick Corbin pitching for the Rangers. He's kind of fallen apart after he was good at the beginning of the season, but looking at his numbers over the last 2 years, you know he's not that good. He's got a 4.34 ERA, 1.36 whip. That's not good. That whip is way too high. He's significantly worse on the road as well, 5.31 road ERA. That isn't good. This month he's been okay, 4.43 ERA, 17 to 6 strikeout walk ratio. It's not awful. He's been, kind of getting through. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in his last 4 outings, but he's not going deep into these games, man. The last time he went more than 5 innings or went 5 innings at all was back on September 7th. So he's not pitching that well right now. Against Cleveland, he has been good, though. I mean, they have a really weak offense. 45 at-bats, 11-5 strikeout walk ratio. It's not a good walk rate, although 3 of them are from Hedges. He's held them to a 178 average and 504 OPS. So Corbin has done well specifically against Cleveland. He's going up against Logan Allen here. Logan Allen has actually been pitching well recently. His numbers on the season are not good. 4.14 ERA is not that bad, but 1.39 whip is pretty bad. He's a little bit better at home, though, 3.92 ERA. And this month, he has a 2 ERA and a 13-3 strikeout walk ratio, and he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all of his outings. So he is pitching well right now. He's in good form, better form than Corbin is. His numbers against Texas are actually not good, though. In 41 at-bats, 7-3 strikeout walk ratio, 268 average allowed. Doesn't seem that bad, but 928 OPS. So Texas has hit him around. They have 4 home runs off him from 4 different hitters. So I don't really trust Allen in this matchup, man. So I think I would lean to Texas in this one. The money is coming in that way. You know, I'm kind of tempted to do it, but we're fading the home road splits if you want to do it here. Cleveland's down from -156 to -136. They're in a bad spot because they just clinched the division, clinched a playoff spot. 76% of the tickets on Cleveland. The public's all over Cleveland here. 67% of the cash on Texas, though. But can we put money on Patrick Corbin? Can we do it? Man, I mean, I don't know, man. The bullpens, there's not much of a difference between the 2 bullpens, so I think keeping the bullpens in is fine. If you want Texas, it's definitely more of a motivational spot. Let me look. I'm tempted. I am really tempted, actually. Let me see here. Because you do actually get the better matchup numbers here, and this is something that I do look at. Oh, boy. Handicapping on the fly. I'm trying to figure this one out here. I mean, Action Network is showing the opposite as far as the books that they're tracking, but oh, no, wait, I'm looking at the wrong game. My mistake. Where the hell is this game? What? I don't have this up on my screen. I apologize. Man, I don't know what they're showing here. Yeah, Action Network's not really showing that much, actually. I mean, you know what? We're getting the Rangers as an underdog here in this one. Wow. It's tough. Should we do it? Yeah, let's do it. Fuck it. We'll go with the Texas Rangers in this one. Oh, my God. You can get them at about +126, I think is the price I just took on them. Let me see here. Make sure of that real quick. Didn't want this to be a totally long video, though we're almost through it here. Let me see. Whoo. Texas, +122, it looks like, is the best you can get on it right now. Somewhere in that ballpark. Ha, pun intended. There we go. Do it, Texas. Again, I think Cleveland, just because they didn't even expect to be here at all, they probably celebrated a lot last night with the fact that they clinched. So we will go with that one. Jordan, what's up, man? Thanks for coming back again. Again, if you missed my NFL show last night, that's where I really did all the NFL analysis. So that is available. There's still some time to watch that, although the NFL Europe game is already on right now. Cincinnati at Milwaukee. Milwaukee, like I said, I'm not sure if Milwaukee can potentially lose the #1 overall seed or not to the Phillies. I'm not sure if they can. But Cincinnati's on the verge of potentially sweeping them here. And we know what Cincinnati has to play for. Like I said, if they win, they're in. It's as simple as that. If they lose, then they would also need the Mets to lose. So that's the situation here. But like I said, as I just said that when I was talking about the Mets, when they're in a win-and-you're-in scenario and you control your own destiny, it's actually a worse spot for that team. So, because it's like the pressure is kind of on them. It kind of gets in your head, like, we need to win this game, and that's it. Like, that's all we got to do, win. You know what I mean? Like, the pressure is actually a little bit more off of the Mets because it's out of their control a little bit, out of their hands. Same thing that we talk about at the end of the NFL season. And Cincinnati's not going to have it easy in this pitching matchup, and Milwaukee is not making it easy on them. Which might mean that Milwaukee is still actually trying to make sure they make they get the 1 seed here. Cincinnati and Milwaukee probably kind of just is kind of mad and they probably want to avoid a sweep. Cincinnati has the worst of the 2 bullpens. They used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Milwaukee used 3. Milwaukee's bullpen is in the better shape coming into this one. Milwaukee does have the better offense, too, although they're not quite as good at home. And I do think they have the better starter, too. Cincinnati's going with Brady Singer. He's had a pretty good season, 3.95 ERA, 1.23 whip, but he is not as good on the road, 4.74 road ERA. This month he has been good, 3.13 ERA, 18-7 strikeout walk ratio is okay. He did allow 4 runs last time out against Pittsburgh, which wasn't really that good, which I forget. I might have had an under in that game. I can't remember if I did. It might have been one of those games where the first 5 under lost and then the full game under won, and I gave out the first 5 and lost. It was probably one of those bullshit games. I don't know, man, but he's been okay this month. Not as good on the road, though. Up against Milwaukee, his numbers are actually decent in 91 at-bats, 21-8 strikeout walk ratio, 253 average allowed, 698 OPS. So Singer might be able to do okay in this one. But he's going up against Freddie Peralta, and he is still the Brewers' ace, man. He's had a really good season, 2.68 ERA, 1.07 whip. Yeah, this means that the Brewers are not going to use Peralta in the first game of the playoffs. They'll use him a few games into the playoffs, but that's what they're going to do. They want to win this game, apparently. Peralta's been really good at home, 1.71 ERA. This month he's been good as well, 3.43 ERA, 33-8 strikeout walk ratio. I had one start where he kind of just gave up some timely hitting to Texas and allowed 5 earned runs there, but he's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in every other one of his outings, going all the way back through the beginning of August. So he's been really good. And he had, I think, 4 shutouts over that span, too. Actually 5. I think he had 5 in a row until that Texas game. And he did bounce back from that Texas game just fine. Peralta's definitely pitching well right now. His numbers are decent against Cincinnati, but not dominant. 100 at-bats. He does have a really good 36-9 strikeout walk ratio against them. 240 average allowed is pretty low. 733 OPS is slightly high. Kind of a lot of extra base hits against him, but he is still the better of these 2 pitchers. So what do we do in this game, man? I mean, I'm probably going to give a slight lean towards Milwaukee in this one, but the money's kind of coming in on Cincinnati. Milwaukee's down from -142 to -130. 71% of tickets, 76% of the cash coming in on Cincinnati. So money is coming in on Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's public because everybody kind of knows Cincinnati needs to win, man. They can make the playoffs. They got to win. I mean, in a way, like I said, I'm kind of rooting for them because I like Terry Francona. The Reds haven't been there for a while. The Mets deserve it probably just because the Mets are actually the better team. If you look into all the stats and whatever, it would be kind of ridiculous if the Mets don't make the playoffs and Cleveland does. I mean, that's just so insane. But we're going to see what happens. Cincinnati is in a good position here, man, because they have the tiebreaker. So it's a pretty good position for them. But personally, I lean to Milwaukee in this game a little bit. The money's coming in on the under as well for what it's worth. It's a low total, down to 7.5 juice to the under. 64% of tickets on the over, 58% of cash on the under. So I guess more information for you there. I mean, I don't really have that much of an opinion on the total in that one. But Peralta definitely, I mean, playing unders in a Peralta game is usually not a bad thing, at least. Thanks, man. Thanks for checking it out. That NFL show is probably better than this show, to be honest. There's not a whole lot going on here. Last day of the baseball season, but I like my WNBA play for today, too. For tonight, I should say. Arizona at San Diego. I kind of wish I gave out San Diego as a play yesterday because Arizona was in the Dream Crusher scenario, man. And just generally, Michael King is better than Eduardo Rodriguez, and that was the pitching matchup there. It's just San Diego doesn't really have that much motivation right now either. But Arizona got eliminated from the playoffs 2 days ago, so they were in the Dream Crusher spot yesterday. So now it depends, like, will that hang them over again into this game, or are they going to try to finish the season on a winning note after they've lost 4 games in a row? That is the question. Like, how disappointed is Arizona going to be? Because I don't think they thought they were going to make the playoffs because they were, just like Cleveland, they sold off of the trade deadline, and then they started playing well, and then it was all of a sudden like, holy crap, we could potentially make the playoffs here. But I don't know if that was really something they really thought was going to happen. So we'll see if they show up for this game or not. I think they have a starting pitching matchup that is somewhat in their favor at the very least, although we know San Diego has the better bullpen. That's not in question. Arizona has the better offense of the two. San Diego did use 5 relief pitchers yesterday, though. Arizona only used 2, so that kind of brings the bullpens closer together at the very least. Again, San Diego doesn't really have a whole lot to play for either. I think they are locked into the 5 seed in the NL. They can't win the division, and they can't overtake the Cubs. Brandon Pfaadt is pitching for Arizona. He's had kind of a rough season, man. 5 ERA, 1.33 whip. He's been really bad on the road. 7.29 ERA on the road, which makes no sense how he's that much better at home when it's a hitter-friendly ballpark there. But whatever the case is, again, I don't know if there's something else going on here, man. If there's anything illegal going on there, I'm not really sure. I've pointed that out with Ryan Nelson. I mean, there are some things that are strange about Arizona's pitching this year. Let's just put it that way. This month, he's been good. 3.16 ERA, 20-4 strikeout walk ratio, but 3 of the 4 starts were at home, and the one bad start was on the road against a bad lineup in Minnesota. So I don't know if we can really trust Pfaadt here. His numbers are not that good against San Diego on 132 at-bats, 29-8 strikeout walk ratio, 295 average allowed is definitely high, 737 OPS, not terribly high, but not great. They definitely hit him for contact, at least. He's going up against J.P. Sears, who San Diego got around the trade deadline from the A's, and he has not really been very good for San Diego. Last year, he actually wasn't that bad, though, for the A's. The Yankees had traded him away. I think Sears is at least better than his numbers look right now. 5.12 ERA, 1.3 whip. That's not good, obviously. His home ERA at 5.28 is a little bit misleading because he was having to pitch in that horrible stadium in Sacramento. But he hasn't been good since San Diego got him either. He had a 5.52 ERA in 3 starts in August. This month, he wasn't good against Colorado at home. That's not a good sign. In a pitcher-friendly park against a weak offense like that, he gave up 4 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings. Did have an 8-1 strikeout walk ratio, though, so that's not bad. So he has a 16-4 strikeout walk ratio since joining San Diego. So at least there's that. So that's one good thing. His command numbers have been pretty good. He's facing a good lineup here in Arizona, though, and Arizona's hit him in the past in 30 at-bats. 6-1 strikeout walk ratio is obviously fine for him, but 333 average, 855 OPS allowed. Not good numbers there. So I don't think Sears is really going to do that well in this one. Money's coming in on the under, which really kind of surprises me. I would actually lean to an over in this game. I don't think either starting pitcher is really going to, it seems like both starting pitchers could potentially do pretty poorly here. We have a bad Arizona bullpen against a kind of used San Diego bullpen. 67% of the tickets are on the over, though, and 73% of the cash on the under. So the money is completely disagreeing with the over here. San Diego down from -126 to -118. 65% of tickets, 87% of the cash coming in on Arizona. So the money is coming in on Arizona, thinking they will actually show up for this game. And maybe it's because Pfaadt just overall has the better numbers over Sears. Generally, he probably is the better pitcher, the more talented pitcher. But in this spot, I'm not so sure about that. Dodgers at Seattle, they're both making the playoffs. They both clinched their division, so there's not a whole lot to play for in this series either, except Seattle is on the verge of getting swept, so maybe they will show up for this final game at home before we go into the playoffs. Dodgers have the worst of the 2 bullpens, but and they used a lot of their bullpen yesterday. They used 5 relief pitchers, and Seattle only used 1. So Seattle's bullpen is in way better shape coming into this game. But then the bullpen usage is also going to depend on how much these teams care about winning as well. For LA, they got Clayton Kershaw pitching, and this is going to be his last regular season start of his career because he announced his retirement. And he pitched okay, I guess, kind of in the final home game in front of his home crowd. His team got him the win behind him. They might step up behind him in this game too because they know it's his last start of the regular season in his career, but it is on the road for this one. So I think maybe it was more of an emotional thing in his last home start last time out. He's been okay this year, 3.52 ERA, 1.23 whip, but I think he feels like he just doesn't have it anymore, so he's packing it in. He's been okay on the road too, even though a little bit worse than he has been at home, 3.6 road ERA. This month he has struggled, so I think that may be why he's kind of packing it in a little bit, even though the Dodgers were winning behind him, man. They've won 9 of his last 10 outings. But this month he has a 5.68 ERA and a 19-13 strikeout walk ratio. So that's pretty rough. He's walking too many guys. He did actually make, looks like a relief appearance 4 days ago because his last home start was this one against the Giants where he only went 4 1/3. He walked 4 guys. He threw too many pitches, 91. Held them to 2 earned runs. It wasn't the greatest start for him, but the team got the win. He didn't get the win because he didn't go 5 innings. Maybe they could have left him in. I don't know if they were winning at the time, if he could have gotten the win or not. But they let him come in relief at Arizona a few days ago. So he got another inning under his belt there. I mean, he's a veteran, so I don't think the fact that he pitched an inning in relief is really going to affect him. Against Seattle, overall, he does have really good numbers in his career. 41 at-bats, 14-3 strikeout-walk ratio, 122 average allowed, and 377 OPS. He's pretty much dominated these Seattle hitters, but that was Kershaw in the past, and this is Kershaw this season when he's older, so he might not do as well here as those numbers might suggest. He's going up against Bryce Miller, who's the way younger pitcher, but Miller, he's had a bad season, man. It's been plagued by injuries. He's trying to come back, I think, from Tommy John surgery. I think he got injured again during the middle of the season. He's been a lot better than this in the past, so I think at some point he should kind of round back into form a little bit, and he's showing some signs of it recently, but his season numbers are bad. 5.53 ERA, 1.39 whip, obviously not good. He is a little bit better at home, 5.49 ERA. Seattle's pitchers are pretty much all better at home. This month he has a 4.98 ERA, but a 22-5 strikeout walk ratio does show that his form is kind of coming back here. Seattle has won 5 of his last 6 outings as well, so he is starting to pitch a little bit better. He's not allowed more than 4 earned runs in any of his starts, going all the way back. Actually, since he's come back in August, he has not allowed more than 4 earned runs in any of his outings. He's only done it one more time since the end of August, too, so he is pitching a little bit better here. His numbers are not great against the Dodgers. It's a small sample size, 25 at-bats, 7-3 strikeout walk ratio, 240 average allowed, 801 OPS allowed, so not horrible, not great. It's a small sample size as well. Both offenses are pretty good here. Dodgers have the better of the two offenses. Will they show up in this game? I mean, that is kind of the question. I don't exactly know. Where is this game? It should be one of the, here it is, the interleague game. The money's coming in on Seattle. They flipped from plus 100 to minus 113. 54% of tickets, 79% of the cash on Seattle. So again, do with that information what you want to, but the money is coming in on Seattle, and it's flipped them to the favorite. Yeah, I mean, I don't know entirely the reason for that, other than the fact that Kershaw just seems like he's a little bit out of gas now, so Miller is in the better form of the two right now, and Seattle does have the more rested bullpen, so that's part of the handicap there as well. So if you do go Seattle, the full game play is what makes sense in that one. Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Atlanta's lost 3 games in a row, man, on the verge of getting swept by Pittsburgh at home. I mean, Atlanta might show up just because of that. Both of these teams have nothing left to play for, but Atlanta might not want to finish their season getting swept by Pittsburgh. Atlanta is still better than the record would suggest, at least. They had 3 relief pitchers enter the game yesterday. Pittsburgh had 3 as well. I think Pittsburgh has the better of the two bullpens. Atlanta has the better offense. As far as the starting pitching, though, it's going to be difficult for Atlanta to win this game with this matchup. Johan Oviedo is pitching for the Pirates. Decent numbers this year, 3.57 ERA, 1.22 whip. He's been better on the road as well, 3.26 road ERA. I'm not sure that he's really as good as his numbers look, though. He's got a 3.54 ERA this month, but 19-12 strikeout walk ratio. He's walked exactly 3 guys now in 5 straight outings. That's not really going to get it done, man. So he's kind of getting a little bit lucky here where he's been fairly unhittable. Like, you can't continue to walk that many guys and get away with it, so that is a problem. His numbers are pretty good against Atlanta, though. In 21 at-bats, they have no extra base hits. 5-3 strikeout walk ratio, not very impressive. Again, too many walks, but 238 average allowed, 571 OPS. So Oviedo has done pretty well against Atlanta for the most part. He's going up against Charlie Morton, who, will this be his last start of his career, man? I don't know. I don't think there's been an announcement or anything. He's 41 years old. I mean, he might try to come back next year, but the season has been weird for him, man. It was really bad at the beginning of the season with Baltimore. Baltimore put him in the bullpen. Then they brought him back to the starting rotation. He was actually really good for a while. Then Detroit picked him up as one of their trade deadline targets there. He pitched well for Detroit for a little while. Then I guess Detroit wound up getting rid of him because he fell apart. Detroit doesn't want him for the playoff run. Morton had a 6.28 home ERA this year, but his home has not been the Braves this season yet. And by the way, the Braves that's where he was last year. So he has returned to the Braves where he was last year, and his last start that he made with Detroit was against the Braves, which was at Detroit, and he gave up 6 earned runs. And then Detroit was like, here, go to the other side now. Yeah, so he had a really bad start there. He's been really bad this month. 12.75 ERA, 11 to 13 strikeout walk ratio. But he might actually show up because he's back with the Braves. He's used to pitching here. Maybe he'll be happy about being back with Atlanta. I don't know. Maybe he liked pitching there. I mean, I don't know how happy he's going to be with the fact that he's no longer on a playoff team in Detroit, because Detroit is going to make the playoffs. He has good, okay numbers against Pittsburgh and 41 at bats. They haven't hit him for contact, but they have hit him for power. 16 to 6 strikeout walk ratio, 195 batting average, 786 OPS allowed. So he's allowed a pretty high OPS to them, 3 home runs, 2 of them from FAM. I honestly don't know what you're going to get out of Morton here. I mean, I probably would not trust him, though. So this game, I mean, I would probably say an over in this game is what makes the most sense. Over Oviedo and Morton, I would say probably over. I don't really trust either bullpen or either starter. The total did flip from 7.5 juice to the under to 7.5 juice to the over. That is a ridiculously low total for, I mean, I guess Atlanta pitcher-ish friendly park, but that's insane. Like a 7.5 with this pitching matchup at Atlanta. I mean, I guess it's taken into account the offenses are not that good, but man, that total seems low. We don't see the cash percentage on it yet or whatever, but that's the way I would lean. Atlanta is down from minus 210 to minus 189 on the money line. 74% of tickets, 79% of the cash. I don't know, man. So probably an over in that one. But let's go to the best bets. And I already gave out Texas on the fly here. So we do have Texas against Cleveland. I think they might be in a little bit of a letdown spot now that they made the playoffs. So we do have Texas, even though I really don't want anything to do with Corbin. This is one spot where I think I'm okay with doing it. So we do have Texas on the money line, plus 122. My other play, really, really bad as a Red Sox fan, but I'm actually going to take Tampa Bay, and I'm going to recommend splitting this half on the run line at plus 1.5 runs at minus 130, and half on the money line at plus 166. And that way, if they cover the 1.5 run line, you'll still win a small amount. And this is a way to kind of, it's a way to kind of diversify a little bit and like lower your risk a little bit. And if you have multiple books that you can use, you can find a better, you can find the best number on both of those at different books potentially. But I think this sets up decently for Tampa Bay here against Toronto, man. I mean, the pressure is kind of on Toronto to try to maintain the lead in the division. Of course, if they lose, then the Yankees would still need to win. Toronto does have the tiebreaker, but the Yankees are pretty likely to win against Baltimore, in my opinion. We won't know because these games are all being played at the same time. But I think Toronto's just favored too heavily here, too. I know they have the better offense, obviously. They're good at home as well. They're down from minus 200 to minus 195, 75% of tickets, 88% of the cash on Toronto. So the money looks like it's kind of coming into Toronto, but they're very public. Nobody wants anything to do with Tampa. And one other good thing about playing a run line like this is the total is pretty low, down to 7.5 now. And the money's coming in on the under. 87% of tickets on the over, 89% of the cash on the under. So the under getting a ton of money also means that if it's expected to be a lower scoring game, and if that's the case, that means the underdog has a much, much better chance of hanging within this number. And I like it based on what we see with the pitching, man. You know, I weigh pitching over hitting. I know Toronto has the better hitting here, but Tampa Bay, this is their last game of the season, man. Like I said, Toronto's already in the playoffs, but they want to win the division. They want to have that home field advantage in the first round, but Tampa's going nowhere, man. This is their final game of the season, and they do have the chance to knock Toronto down a little bit. So I think Tampa Bay is going to show up for this one. They're also trying to avoid a sweep, so there is some motivation on the Tampa Bay side. As far as the bullpens, Tampa does have the better of the two bullpens. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. They have pretty light usage over the last few days, whereas Toronto has had much heavier usage. So Tampa has an advantage in the bullpen as well, the better bullpen and more rested bullpen coming into this one. So if this is a close game coming into the bullpens, I think Tampa does have an advantage there. And I actually like the starting pitching matchup here. Ian Seymour is pitching for Tampa. Good numbers this year, 2.85 ERA, 1.08 whip. I know he is a converted reliever. He's actually been better on the road, too, 2.65 road ERA. 15 to 7 strikeout walk ratio. I know that's not good this month. 2.66 ERA is good. Yeah, I know he's walking too many guys. I know he failed to go 5 innings in 2 of his 4 outings. He did pitch really well against Toronto last time. I don't know that means Toronto's recently familiar with him, but that's the case with both of these starters. I know it's going to matter a little bit more for Toronto because Toronto had probably never faced him before, so I do worry about that a little bit. Like Seymour would have had that edge where he was unfamiliar to Toronto, and he went 7 innings allowing no earned runs against them. 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, 4 hits allowed back in Tampa Bay in a hitter-friendly park. So his best start recently was that one against Toronto. Yes, Toronto was unfamiliar with him, and they won't be here, so that's a little bit of an extra edge now to Toronto, but maybe Seymour is just actually pitching well, and maybe he matches up well against Toronto. So in that start, basically, is where these numbers come from. They have 21 at-bats against him, 2-1 strikeout walk ratio, 190 batting average, allowed 465 OPS. I think you can trust Seymour here, man. It's actually easier to pitch in this stadium, at least, than it is to pitch in that Tampa Bay Yankees spring training stadium they play in. He's going up against Kevin Gausman, and Gausman looks like a guy you don't really want to fade, and I mean, you can see why the money's coming in on the under, because both starting pitchers look pretty good here, but Gausman, I'm going to dial it back a little bit with him here. I honestly think Toronto should have just skipped him and moved him to be the first pitcher to start for them in the playoffs. I know he's really good this season, 3.47 ERA, 1.03 whip, although oddly, his record is below 500, so he doesn't get a lot of run support. So that's something to keep in mind, too. It's kind of a weird phenomenon where different pitchers' run support kind of remains like the same throughout the season, where it's kind of like this mental thing where, oh, we have our really good pitcher on the mound, so we don't need to hit today. You know what I mean? It's kind of a weird thing. Gausman is actually a little bit worse at home, 3.62 ERA, so we have the home road splits working in our favor here. I know he's been good this month, 1.88 ERA, 27-5 strikeout walk ratio, better than Seymour has been, but he did allow 4 earned runs last time out against the Red Sox, so he took a little bit of a step back there. I know he just went to Tampa, and in that start he did well. He allowed 1 earned run in 6 innings, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks in a hitter-friendly park. I get it, but even despite that good start against Tampa, which doesn't mean Tampa is recently familiar with him as well, he's been really bad against Tampa in the past, and 57 at-bats, even including that good start last time out. 19-3 strikeout walk ratio is good, but he's allowed a 333 average and 998 OPS to them, so that's not good. So typically this Tampa offense, when they show up, they can hit him, so we're going to go with Tampa in this one. We're going to expect it to be a low-scoring game, even if Gausman is pitching all right early in the game. Seymour might be able to hold the game close, and if it's close, when we get into the bullpens, I think Tampa does have the advantage at that point. So we're going to do that. We're going to split half run line, half money line. And that's it. That's going to do it, man. So baseball plays one more time. Our Texas Rangers plus 122 on the money line there. Split bet, half on the run line, half on the money line with Tampa Bay. And then we have NFL, or actually we have WNBA, remember, Minnesota plus 5.5. Man, too many plays today. And then NFL, we have Giants plus 6.5. I don't know if we'll get the 7, but be on the lookout at least, because you don't really have to play it immediately if you think you might be able to find the 7. New England minus 5.5, Atlanta minus 1.5, and Indianapolis plus 3.5. That's going to do it. Let's get some wins today, man. Let's keep this win streak going. It's been good recently. We've been hot. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out, or I guess just Jordan has been the only one actually hanging out in the chat, but thanks, man. Learn to Toad on Twitter, Learn to Toad on Instagram, Bettor Off Dead, of course. Like, subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. Give me a good review on iTunes and Spotify. That helps out, too. Listen over there. That helps as well. Covered in Uke, my Uke channel on YouTube, ukulele covers going on over there. That's on YouTube. And then patreon.com/LearnToToad with some bonus Uke stuff going on there. It's going to do it for now. Have a good one today, man. Peace.